Hey everyone, welcome back to OneRoomOver Gaming. Okay, today I'm gonna be playing a visual novel type game. It's called Crimson Gray, and basically you just navigate a story and then you make choices, and however you choose, the story goes based on your choices, like life. But there's art that goes with it. Visual novel. Good stuff. So, let's get into it. Crimson Gray. I've unlocked bonus sessions from previous games, even though this is the first time I've ever played it. So, yes, I will play with bonuses. John had always thought of himself as a stable person. Stability worked out well when he was just trying not to let the little things get him down. It wasn't so great when everything was crumbling around him. When the entire world started seeming gray and flat, then he began wondering if all that stability would kill him, and if he would care when it did. There weren't any highs or lows anymore. Whatever happened to him, John didn't feel happy or sad. He just... Hey, what are you doing spacing out, man? You're a real head case these days, John. You gonna float away on us? Sorry, just distracted. A moment later, he started drifting away again. Even his friends' voices were nothing but buzzing in his ears, meaningless sounds echoing in his hollow shell. They weren't even really his friends. They were friends with the happy-go-lucky person he'd been at the beginning of high school. These days, they joked about him being no fun, but it was more than a joke. They'd get tired of him, find someone else, and then he'd be alone. He wasn't sure whether or not that would be worse. Whoa, is that creepy chick staring at us? I think she is. Who is that, anyway? Lizzie Doss. I think in our year, right? John, doesn't she have math with you or something? It took John a second to even register their question. They were staring at some girl who was just staring back at them. She looked the same as all the other girls in their school. Shire, maybe. She could probably hear them talking about her. He wanted to say something, but kept silent. Damn, she really is staring. Is she staring at us or John? I think it's him. Haha, you think she's a stalker? Yeah, those are some crazy eyes. You better watch out, John. They don't look very crazy to me. You're a real sad sack these days, but you could do better than her. Shut up. The words were past his lips before he could even stop them. Why did he have to open his mouth now, of all times? But he couldn't let them keep talking about her like that. People called him creepy or crazy all the time, and he hated it. But after those two words, he just stood there like an idiot. Even when something mattered him, he couldn't pull himself together. What's wrong with you, man? Don't say things like that about people you don't know. She's just hanging out up here like we are. Totally normal. No, she's giving us some serious crazy eyes. Just leave her alone, okay? She hasn't done anything to you. Sheesh, okay, man. You think she's gonna fall in love with you as her handsome protector or something? No, I just think it's nice not to be an asshole. Huh, that'd be just like you, John. You want to talk to the crazy girl? Be our guest. We're heading back to class. Don't wait up, man. The way her eyes moved, John thought she was focused on him so intensely that she might have not even heard what the other said. Did it even bother her? He wished he could be like that, instead of the smallest things sending him crashing into a state of worthlessness. But maybe she was like him, just capable of hiding it. John cleared his throat and walked up to check on her. She looks a little worried. Hey, sorry about them. They can be assholes sometimes. They kind of sound like they can be assholes more than sometimes. I guess I don't have a lot to say. Sorry if we bothered you. Alright. John slunk away and cursed his own idiocy. She'd been fine without him. He just made everything worse. There had been something hard in her eyes, a strength he didn't have. He had probably been projecting all his weaknesses onto her in the first place. She wasn't like him, wasn't broken. She could shrug off the things his friends had said and get on with her life. At least that meant she could shrug off his annoyance too. She'd probably just forget all about him. Thank you. Oh, okay, so after he slinks off, she says, thank you. You're so kind. Such a kind person. The kindest person. The only person. Okay, see, those are starting to border on a little bit more than just staring. Those might have intent. Oh, there's a smile. I found you. I finally found you. I found you. Found you. Found you. You. Maybe she's not just some lady hanging out on top of a roof looking for some solitude. I don't know what her story is. Not gonna judge. Maybe she's got a little something to her. The teacher's voice was incomprehensible, but John knew he must be picking it up on some level. He wasn't sure how, but even though he'd stumbled through the day, he was doing okay in school. He could seem normal whenever he wanted to. It just didn't feel worth it. That was almost the worst part. He seemed normal even though nothing was normal anymore. It wouldn't ever be normal again. What did Miss Smythe say? High-functioning depression. Such an awful, empty phrase. At least class was over now. He could go home, sleepwalk through his assignment, and then fall unconscious. At least for a few hours he could... Then he became aware of her. She was watching him. Maybe she wanted to thank him? No, he was being stupid. He'd done nothing worth thanking. More likely she wanted something from him. Or most likely of all, maybe she didn't care about him and he was just imagining the whole thing. She was still staring, though. Ignore her, lose her in the hallways, glare at her, smile at her, go talk to her. Well, I know something John doesn't know, and that's that obviously she, likes him? So, we tried talking to her earlier and that didn't go that great. We're just gonna be normal-ish, seems like the best option. Smile at her. So we're gonna smile. Just gonna smile. Her expression was impossible to read. Was she shy? Was she embarrassed for him? Either way, he doubted it mattered. He needed to get to his appointment anyway. He didn't want Miss Smythe getting mad at him again. Miss Smythe was one of the only people John could focus on. He wasn't sure how much good she was actually did aside from prescribing him medicine, but at least she tried to help. John, you're not looking so bad today. Did something good happen? Good? A boy your age ought to be more interested in girls. Are you dating someone? Girls or boys? Whatever. Are you dating someone? No, I can't focus on people. Maybe I could prescribe you something for that. We don't have any on hand now, but I could get it quickly. That's an advantage of having Koi Tech in town. Okay, pill pusher, just calm down. I don't want to take this medicine anymore. I don't think it's working. The Paxitine? But that's the first one you've really responded to. I feel worse. Everything is so gray. Voices just echo. Can't I go back to a generic medicine? John, you need to understand. You are deeply clinically depressed. It's my professional opinion that you should, under no conditions, go off your medication. Well, he wasn't really saying he wanted to go off his meds. He was just asking if there was a different medicine. You know, different medicines have different side effects. When you're getting used to a medication, there can be some initial side effects. Some things have to get worse before they can get better. Okay? Okay. All he heard was that he was too broken for any drug to fix. He was so worthless, even the newest drugs from Koi Tech didn't do anything. I'll renew your Paxitine prescription and see about getting you a complementary drug. Yeah. A drug that complements the drug you're taking. We'll figure this out yet, John. Now why don't you lie down over there and we can begin our session. Good. Get comfortable. Did anything special happen during the day today? No, it was just a normal day. The therapy session fell quickly into a meaningless buzz. For a short time at least, he didn't feel the emptiness. Finally, or too soon, it was over. Miss Smythe told him he was doing well and sent him on his way. So the therapy might be helping a little bit. John slumped back home. The house was empty, like it always was. Ever since his mother left, his father spent all his time working. He did his homework, he ate, he cleaned the dishes, he sat down in front of the TV and stared at it without turning it on. Somehow he dragged himself into the bed and fell asleep. The routine used to be comforting, but now it was starting to erode his sanity. His mind had to crack eventually. Maybe it was already happening. For a second, he thought he saw a girl out the window. But no, there was nothing. Of course there wasn't. He really was losing it. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Another day. He had to face it somehow. It seemed impossible until the moment he finally stumbled into class. School was a mindless buzz was all I got out of that sentence. So I forgot clicking was jumped you to the next sentence. Almost everyone in the school would either go to work for Koitek, move away, or stay in town and become unemployed. Oh, okay, so there was a job fair. There's a job fair, and almost anyone in school would go to work for Koitek, move away, or stay in town and become unemployed. John wondered which one of those would happen to him, but from a distance, as if he was thinking about some person he barely knew. His grades were good enough to get into Koitek, but the process was so competitive. No, he didn't have enough energy for that. He couldn't imagine moving away, looking for a job in a strange city. Most mornings, the most he could imagine was surviving the day. But his father wouldn't support him, and his mother didn't want him. Once he graduated, there'd be no way he could stay with either of them. What would happen to him, then? Would he just become homeless? Sit there on the street begging for a change until one night he froze to death? Maybe that was all he deserved. No, that's not all anyone deserves. Teacher. John, are you alright? Sorry, sir, I'm paying attention, honestly. I didn't ask that. I asked if you were alright. I'm fine. Well, be sure to talk with the counselor if you're feeling bad, okay? Alright? We're lucky to have someone like Miss Smythe with us. He had to keep it together. He was remembering the lessons, but if people were starting to think something was wrong, his control was slipping. He had had enough time to visit his locker in between periods. There was more Paxitine there. He still had an extra dose left for the day. His locker was on the bottom row, so he always had to bend down, and there was a piece of paper sitting in the middle of his locker. Cheer up! That was all it said. Nothing on the backside, no other clues. Probably a girl's handwriting. Who left it? Well, you know one girl who was near you, so it might be a clue, but it doesn't have to be a girl's handwriting, it's just handwriting. It can be from anybody. It's not bad. Hey, did you see anyone messing with my locker? Huh? Did something get stolen? There's way too many guys around here for me to notice. It might have been a girl leaving a note. Like a love note? Keep dreaming, John. You think any girl's gonna love your sorry ass? He's got great classmates, John does. There's a whole school full of winners. No, of course no one could love him. So you didn't see anyone. Okay, thanks. Hey, John, are you gonna tell me she's a Canadian? I'm heading back to class. See you later. And she's really hot, right? Your imaginary girlfriend sounds amazing. Like, no wonder. Like, the way this sounds, his father's always working, his mother's gone. He's really not motivated. Like, the future seems just useless, and everyone in the school seems like a total fucknut. I mean, it's really not hard to imagine. And obviously he suffers from depression too. I mean, it's not just like he's reacting to his surroundings and moping around. It's a real thing. But it would be really easy to see how someone could get into a pretty deep funk with awesome friends like these. John knew he should probably just take some more Paxitine and head back to class. Yet he was still holding onto the paper. He wasn't sure why. It really could be a prank, one of the guys trying to trick him. If so, it would probably be followed by another fake note, asking him to come out under that stupid confession tree, where they'd let him wait and then laugh at him. But just for a moment, he saw the girl watching him. Could it have been her? Maybe. Let's find out. By the time he got to class, John had a new theory. She felt sorry for him. He must have looked pretty pathetic, and she'd recognized his misguided good intentions enough to feel pity. The rest of the school day passed in more of a blur than usual. He might be delusional, but part of John still hoped it wasn't a prank. He headed to his locker, not daring to imagine anything, and there was another paper waiting there for him. They shouldn't say those things about you. Oh shit! Okay, so things are a little serious now. It didn't even look like the same person's handwriting. The first had been beautiful calligraphy. This one was a hurried scrawl. If it was all a prank, he no longer had any idea where they were going with this. He'd all been beating himself up over saying the wrong thing, so this was too much for John. He headed straight home to get some sleep before he cracked completely. And it's starting to sound pretty intense in here. The next day, John went as early as possible and approached his locker anxiously. He wasn't sure what he wanted to find. There was no note this time, but there was a chocolate heart wrapped in foil, set in the exact center of of the bottom of his locker. The exact center. Like, what, do you take a ruler and measure out width by length to find the exact center? John stared at it for a while, then slipped out into his pocket and headed to class, even though he knew he would be far too early. There was no way he could eat it. If it was really a prank, they might have slipped a laxative or something inside of it. That was the kind of things his friends thought were funny. But if it was that girl... It didn't matter now. What mattered was that someone clearly knew his locker combination and could get in whenever they wanted. That could be a real problem. He knew he should come up with a solution before tomorrow. But what? Alright, tell the teacher, tell Mrs. Smythe, try and keep watch on the locker, replace the lock, leave a note. I am torn between try to keep watch on the locker and leave a note. I don't want to tell the teacher, I don't want to tell anybody about this. I don't feel like a third party would be objective. They never really seem to be. When you have a problem, in my experience with me, if I've ever had a problem and I try and bring a third party into the mix, then I have a problem and I have someone else who's trying to give me advice that I probably didn't want in the first place. So I'm really not in the mood to tell anyone. And replacing the lock doesn't seem like it's a necessary step because I don't really feel like it's threatening. I don't know. I feel like I'd replace the lock if I felt threatened, like if I felt uneasy, but I don't, and I don't feel like John does. And since I'm driving John, I'm making his decisions for him. So I better make some good ones. Oh, do I want to try and keep watch on the locker or leave a note? This music is pressuring me. I'll leave a note. Oh, yeah, no, I'll just leave a note. John cut a small sheet of paper from one of his notebooks, wrote thanks on the inside, and set it in his locker. If it was a prank, that ought to throw the pranksters off, and if it was someone who meant well, hopefully they'd just take it as normal gratitude. He headed home, and once his homework was done, quickly fell asleep. The next morning, he thought he spotted someone outside his window, but there was no one there. Again, don't be so sure about that. When he opened his locker the next day, his note was gone. Alrighty then. Making an effort to set the mystery of the locker aside, John went with his friends to the rooftop for lunch. They spread out on one side, enjoying the sight of the trees below. Midway through the meaningless conversation, John noticed that Lizzie was watching him from the far side of the roof. Her gaze was even more intense than before, so he uncomfortably tried to ignore her and focus on the conversation. Okay, so she's probably the one behind this. I mean, obviously, we know she is, unless there's some kind of twist. But apparently John feels uncomfortable, so he's going to try and ignore her. Focus on his friends. Looks like the confession tree is in full bloom, huh? You really believe those stories, true love and all that? It works, man. I've got a buddy who just graduated. He swears he got so much pussy confessing under it. Well, if he kept doing it, then it's not true love, is it? Come on, people have been confessing there for years. You seriously think everyone would confess under the tree if it did nothing? Nah, man, I think it's a tree of lust. It doesn't guarantee true love, just getting laid. Now we're getting into the good philosophical conversations that teenagers have, like love versus lust, and I don't know what teenagers talk about anymore. If that was true, way more guys would be into it, but it was mostly girls from what I've seen. What do you think, John? I don't know. I don't even know what teenagers thought when I was in high school, because I did not participate in a lot of the stuff. I don't know, the activities. Anyhow, back to this. This isn't about me. This is about John. What do you think, John? I don't know. Oh, don't be that way. You dream of a girl confessing to you under that tree, don't you? Yeah, like that crazy stalker chick. It'd make your heart go all aflutter if she confessed, wouldn't it? You're not friends. I wouldn't be friends with you people. That tree is magic, man. I'm telling you, even a sad sack like you could get lucky if you confess there. Nah, I'm good. Don't be stupid. It's just a tree. Whoa, someone has their panties in a twist. I'm telling you, everyone goes there only because people like you keep telling those stories. There's nothing magic about the tree. People just believe it's special because everyone says it is. Girls think the tree is romantic, so of course they're more likely to agree there. And guys would have to turn someone down in front of an audience. That's all it is. Shit, man, what is wrong with you today? You guys are jerks. That's what's wrong. Like, maybe it's me. You guys can let me know if I'm being too sensitive, but I feel like my classmate friends are just assholes. Like, legitimately. With an attitude like that, you're never going to get a girl. Well, you know what? Who cares? Haha, you insulted the tree. It'll cock-block you now. You know what? Let the tree cock-block me. Famous words. Quote me on that. Go ahead. I dare you. Quote me. Let the tree cock-block me. I dare it. Ha-ha. Ha-ha. Ha. Alrighty. So, uncomfortable stuff. That day, John couldn't get to his therapy appointment fast enough. Miss Smythe smiled at him when he came in, but immediately saw he was unhappy. Are you okay, John? Perhaps you should be on a stronger formulation. No. Well, our session should make you feel better. Lie down and get comfortable. Miss Smythe, does Paxidine have any visual side effects? I should hope not. Koitek has the highest of standards for every drug it puts out, and Paxidine is nearing its final clinical trials. Are you having any vision problems? And suddenly my therapist is like the best rep for the company, just selling those pills just hand over fist. Like, highest standards. And even though it's not finished with its clinical trials, it's the tops. Are you having any vision problems? John lay back and stared out the window. Was he really seeing differently, or was it all in his head? He stared a long time before he opened his mouth and just started talking. Everything just feels so gray. So you are having vision problems. Not literally gray, it's just the sky today. I remember when I was younger, I always thought the clouds were beautiful. Now it's like there's just nothing there, nothing that matters. I look up and I just don't care. That sounds more likely to be a mental issue then. Why don't you get more relaxed and talk about it? Yeah, it's a mental issue. You're a therapist. That's literally why he's there, to talk about his mental problems, to deal with his depression. Duh. Taking a deep breath, John did his best, as usual. After talking with Miss Smythe for long enough, he felt not better, necessarily, but at least not miserable. Their session went by in a flash, and then he had to head home. He shuffled through his routine easily enough, slept fitfully, and then returned to school barely more rested. So it seems like she is helping. The sessions, possibly, plus the medication, are helping his depression a little bit. So that's a good thing. I mean, obviously, he's not the same John he was at the beginning of the year, but, you know, little bits go a long way. So he goes to school, but when he arrived, he found a huge crowd standing and staring. John, what's going on? Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and stop it right here without letting you guys know what's going on. Not to be a jerk, but who doesn't like a good cliffhanger? But I've been recording for a while, and I don't know how much longer this is going to go on, so I will, I don't want this video to go on too long, so I'll break it up into smaller pieces. So this is Crimson Gray, and if you guys want to, you can play it for yourselves. It's available on Steam. I don't remember if it was just a download or if it cost money, but it is available on Steam, and I can imagine if it cost, it was probably pretty reasonable. So if you guys want, you could just go ahead and play this for yourself, and then you don't have to wait for me to find out what's going on under this tree. But if you do not want to play it for yourselves, and you do want to wait and find out what's going on under this tree, fret not, because I will not leave you guys hanging for too long. I'm just going to go ahead and pick this up and make another episode, try and finish it, see what's going on. So yeah, this is Crimson Gray, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. And that's all for now. So thank you guys for coming back to OneRoomOver Gaming, and you guys always know where you're going to be able to find me. I'll just be OneRoomOver. So I'll see you guys soon, and until then, happy gaming, take care of yourselves and each other, and I hope to see you again, and I hope you come back and watch more of my videos. Alright, thanks guys, bye.